Joining us now is Shaitan Atigarin with stories trending around the world. Hello, Shaitan. I was just saying off camera that you have very interesting stories.
Yes, indeed,
and then
I have.
The camera, talk to
me. It did take me a while to, even organize how I wanted to go through the stories today because they are very interesting. Good morning, Adesuwa. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Rufai. How are you doing today?
How's it going? Great to see you again.
Yes. So what's trending starts today in Kaduna State, in the northwestern part of Nigeria, where owner of the demolished Asher Kings and Queens restaurant, allegedly accused of organizing a sex party, has threatened to sue Kaduna State Governor Mallon Nasir El Rufai over acts of victimization. The demolished property, owned by Mrs Aishetu Mercy Yakubu, wife of the spokesman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Kaduna State, was pulled down by the Kaduna State Urban Planning and Development Authority, who stormed the area with 2 truckloads of policemen to execute the order. According to Mrs Yakubu, the restaurant that had existed for more than 7 years was registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. In her series of tweets, she claimed to have paid 20,000 naira to police officers to track down the owners of the phone numbers on the poster advertising the sex party. She also claims to have lost cooking utensils, chillers, deep freezers, outdoor catering utensils, and cash estimated to worth about 32 million naira, as well as a 1-month pregnancy during the demolition exercise. She also claimed to have been wrongfully detained and later released after the organizers of the party clarified that her restaurant was not to be used. Nigerians have, of course, been reacting. The first tweet there reads, "The lady paid 20,000 for them to track down the owners of the phone numbers on the poster. So if they hadn't tracked down the organizers of the event, on what basis did they go to arrest the owner of the restaurant? This is just crazy." Another person there says, "Please go to court. The state needs to prove you committed an offense that warrants demolishing your property based on what you have said and that has not been proved." And to another person replies, "You take Nigerian justice system against the state seriously? He will go, win the case, and the awarded compensation will not be paid." The final person there says, "When seeking for redress, remember that your unborn child that you lost should make them pay at least 1 billion naira. A child is priceless, but that should be some consolation. After the 1 billion, other payments can then continue." So now let's take a breather. This is a lot to take in. In this situation, now she's come forward and said, "You know what? These people didn't even investigate. They just came and they demolished my building, a building that has been up for about 7 years." And I think the biggest takeaway from this is the fact that she's claimed to have lost a child because of the stress that she has gone through. So, of course, investigation is ongoing, but it just speaks to how horridly sometimes officials can take laws into their hands.
Indeed, it smacks of executive recklessness and abuse of office. And you wonder, do we not have faith anymore in our legal processes? What has happened to the court processes? From where did the regulatory authority in Kaduna derive the power to demolish the building? It's heartbreaking, the inadequacies in our institutions. To think that she paid 20,000 naira, beg your pardon, for police to, even do their job in the first instance. This is a recurring decimal. We've heard of this, that it's still continuing. There was also the allegation made by the state's government and the police that, they were breaching COVID-19 protocols. We should not use enforcement of COVID-19 protocols to intimidate or violate the rights of the people. And I think that we are beginning to see this happen. It happened in Rivers State, where the governor, demolished those hotels because he had asked hotels to shut down. In Kaduna, they've not told us why this building was truly demolished. And I'm happy that she's exploring the option of her options, the legal options.
Yes.
It shouldn't end here.
But then in that reaction, you did see someone say, even if she takes it to court and she's awarded or she's, the verdict is in her favor, what about, the enforcement of those kind of laws? So necessarily, they're looking at...
She can go back to court.
Yes.
And ask for an order of mandamus, that the judgment of court should be enforced. Not even the state government is above the laws of Nigeria.
Indeed.
So, it's not something we should be sentimental about. But there are a number of issues here. What came out in the public domain was that that particular restaurant was going to be the venue of what is called a sex party. Now, the lady had said that a restaurant was not the place for a sex party, and that the advertisement of this alleged sex party was online, and that the police did not even investigate. They just came to our place and started threatening that it was supposed to be the place for a sex party. Now, she was the one who even initiated the investigation. Look at the sequence. Harassment before even any investigation. She even had to pay the police to conduct the investigation. And after the investigation, the identity of the owner of the phone number for the sex party was discovered, and the person was identified, right?
Yes.
Now, instead of taking up the issue with that individual, they still proceeded to go and demolish a restaurant. Now, that looks clearly like a miscarriage of justice.
Yes.
And this Kaduna sex party story was quite, a popular story. And of course, you can understand where the state government is coming from, because the Criminal Code of Nigeria, sections 223 to 225, criminalizes any kind of pornography or support for prostitution or the commoditization of sex. So that's the legal basis for it. There are also similar provisions in the Penal Code. But I'm not aware that either the Penal Code or the Criminal Code gives anybody the right, the authority to just, enter a judgment and extrajudicially demolish people's buildings or treat people badly. So in this case, that is a serious problem. But there was a point you also raised. You said this woman, the owner of the restaurant, is the wife of the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State. Now, is it possible that there is political motivation behind this? Because we have seen in some other states, in the East, and also I guess in Rivers, where persons' buildings have been demolished because of their political association. And this is the nature of Nigerian politics. And again, that is unacceptable.
Definitely.
Well, she has threatened to go to court. And I think that in the circumstance, this is the recourse that is left to her.
Yes.
We can't have state governments or departments of government going to demolish people's houses for imaginary reasons or for attaching unproven allegations and on the basis of that, taking actions. You recall that in your state, the other year, IFL's media house was demolished. Yes. On the basis of the fact that it contravened certain regulations. But the same state government went back and rebuilt the building. Yes. They even made it more beautiful than it was originally. Now, in this particular case, it's not even proven that the building had contravened any regulation. Indeed. So she has every right to go to court, and the Kaduna state government cannot keep quiet. They have a lot of explaining to do. Because, we're looking for... Government, on one hand, is talking about supporting small and medium-scale enterprises. People make the effort to set up businesses. They create opportunities for people to have employment. And then you go there and demolish the building. You frustrate the business. Imagine the number of people who work in that restaurant who are now probably staying at home.
Rendered jobless. And, of course, the emotional trauma that she's gone through. Rufai, I'd like you to chime in on this. Like Dr. Abati has said, this is not the first time we're seeing buildings being demolished without proper investigation going on the back end.
I'd like to quote the words of François de la Rochefoucauld that says, hypocrisy is the vice. Hypocrisy is the homage vice pays to virtue. We want to look like a sane society, but we're very hypocritical about it. And sometimes you see a lot of insanity everywhere in society. And this story just shows the very plenty layers of insanity. The first insanity will be, they saw something online, the police couldn't investigate, the woman had to use her own money to investigate, paid 20,000 naira. This is the same police that taxpayers' money are to fund. And I'm sure that if you check the records, this woman will pay taxes. She will pay VAT, she will pay cockage, she will pay other forms of taxes in Kaduna State. But that money that is deployed for the police to do their function can't be done, and she had to pay to investigate the case. First layer of insanity. Second layer of insanity will be, after investigating the case, instead of you to hold the culprits to book, based on what has happened, the next thing you do, you go ahead, you demolish this woman's building. So that's the second layer of insanity is multifaceted. There's a political angle to it, like Dr. Apati probably said, spokesperson of an opposition party. But in a country that is truly sane, that should allow for different and divergent views, for the fact that you have a divergent view for the others doesn't mean that your property can be destroyed. In that same country where the sole responsibility of the government, as enshrined in the Constitution, Section 14, subsection 2b, says the security of lives and property. Second layer of insanity. Third layer of insanity, high-handedness. The fact that COVID-19 protocol, breaching COVID-19 protocol has constantly been refrained in the mouth of many people. But when a top politician's father breached COVID-19 protocol at his father's burial, nothing was said. I would have thought that we would have started from that and the place should be shut down because it breached COVID-19 protocol. But you know what the law is about in this country? What is sauce for the goose is not always sauce for the gander. So the law is specific to some people, and you can't build a state that way. When you look at the arguments of the likes of Alexander Hamilton and Madison and their arguments in the Federalist paper, this is what they keep talking about. The law should be across board for all.
Definitely, I agree.
Third layer.
You've already said the third layer, Rufai.
I've said the third layer already.
Layer about to go to.
And it goes on and on and on. The fourth layer of insanity, like Dr. Abati said, is the fact that we believe that small businesses are the heart of this economy. They will make this economy. They churn out a lot of job and employment. By my check, if you break down this year's budget, what goes to an average Nigerian is not up to 70,000 naira. But we have a GDP per capita that is, $2,200. So that means that the private sector makes up the remainder of the GDP per capita. We know the private sector is important.
Definitely.
But insanity is that we destroy it.
The big takeaway in all of this is that nobody should be punished for any infraction, whether proven or unproven, except according to the laws of the land. And the laws of the land have stipulated due process. If you go outside the due process, then government itself is breaking the law.
Yes.
And when government itself breaks the law, government is trying to derail our democracy.
Definitely, I agree. Let's just start with this next story and then we'll pick up after the break. The management of the First City Monument Bank, FCMB, has released a statement saying it is reviewing an alleged paternity scandal involving Adam Nuru, its managing director. The spotlight beamed on Nuru after friends of Tunde Thomas, who died on December 16th, alleged his demise was caused by the FCMB's managing director in a petition. The petition had claimed that Thomas died of depression after discovering that his two children with his ex-wife and former employee of the bank belonged to Nuru. It has called on Godwin Emefiele, governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as the bank's board, to sack Nuru and conduct a holistic investigation into the matter. Over 2,000 people have since signed the petition. In the bank statements on the matter, it says, we are aware of several stories circulating across several media platforms about our bank's managing director and our former employee and her deceased ex-husband, Mr. Tunde Thomas. While this is a personal matter, the tragedy of the death of Mr. Tunde and the allegations of unethical conduct require the bank's board to conduct a review of what transpired. Any violations of our code of ethics and the adequacy of this code of conduct ethics, and this will be done immediately. We enjoin all our stakeholders to bear with us as we conduct this review, and please respect the various families involved. Now, we're going to go on a quick break. This has obviously caused a lot of stir on social media, but when we come back from the break, we'll have this conversation, and I'm really curious to hear what all three of you have to say about it.
Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Still with us is Sheiton Atigani on stories trending around the world.
Thank you, Doctor. So before the break, we were talking about this FCMB saga, and I want to just take 2 or 3 tweets before we talk about it. The first person there says, I really don't think the bank has anything to do with this. It should only upgrade its working rules to ensure this won't repeat itself again. Someone else says, this is by no means a personal matter. A sexual relationship between a superior and a subordinate who are both married is absolutely unethical and most likely sexual exploitation and abuse of power. power. The final person there says it is unethical and it has affected his professionalism. Now, the reason why I wanted to take this was because that was the divide. A lot of people were saying it's nobody's business. It's what they did when no one was watching. And there are people saying that, no, this is between two co-workers, someone who's a superior and someone obviously who, works under him. And that affects his professionalism. What do you think, Adesua?
So, over the weekend, I mean, it's just the 4th day in January 2021, and it's been scandalous already. There's been a lot of conjectures, a lot of sentiments. My heart goes out to the family, the bereaved family of Tunde Thomas, who's died. But one of the principles of natural justice is to always hear from the other side. And this, for me, involved 3 adults. We are yet to hear from the other 2 adults in this matter. The biggest worry for me really is the children whose lives have been thrown into this social media brouhaha. Some of us don't even know what happened, what transpired, but we're already making these conjectures. I think what the bank has done, in taking the step to say we would investigate is very good. It's an ethical issue for me. It's a moral question on 3 adults and what they had to do in the private that has not come to the public. Is it a private matter? Is it a public matter? I think it's private. They're all adults. And, this has stirred a lot of controversies around paternity fraud.
Exactly.
Infidelity. And it's scary. There's an unverifiable statistics that is going around there that 30% of paternity fraud in Nigeria. That is scary, Shaitan. That is scary.
Doctor?
Well, we took this subject earlier before you joined us, and I made quite some comments on it. I said this is clearly a case of corporate cuckoldry. Now, you may say it's private matter, but once it comes to the public domain, it becomes a matter of interest for everybody. And that's why people have been commenting on it all through the weekend, because here you have power relations between a boss and a subordinate. You have the issues about paternity. You have the issues also about loyalty within a relationship.
As well as the death of the...
All of this compounded by the fact that, the family of Mr. Tunde Thomas are saying that, look, he became heartbroken, he had a stroke, and eventually he became depressed, and then he died, he had a heart attack because of the disloyalty of his wife. Now, earlier on, I had said that a group of friends of his had come forward to say that the story is not true, and that the woman is still legitimate or remained legitimately his wife until he died. But maybe in response to that, my attention has now been drawn to a series of, text messages exchanged between Mrs. Thomas and the managing director of FCMB. Well, whether this is true or not should be one of the issues that the bank will look into. A married woman calling her boss, her husband, her darling, and, over a period of 8 years, having intimate relationship with them. Of course, FCMB has every reason to be interested in this. Although, inquiry into bedroom matters is not part of the original function of a bank. Even the Central Bank of Nigeria has been drawn into the matter. Maybe one of the fallouts of this is that banks may begin to set up bedroom departments, to check the
bedroom committees,
the prevalence of cuckoldry. Because I guess if this is established to be true, it's not limited to the banking sector. It's also not limited to FCMB. It could be in other banks, and you could also find it in other professions, including the media. And persons, I guess, will learn lessons from this. Ladies and also bosses, lecturers, cuckolding bosses who cannot keep their eyes away from other people's wives when there are, single women all over the place that they can pay attention to. So it's a subject of interest, but let us just keep watching and see what comes at the end of the day.
All right, then, Rufai, come in, let's talk about this.
Okay, we are a very hypocritical society. I'm not surprised. In fact, there was a case I treated once when I did other media engagements. that it was at the American embassy they realized that all the children the woman had for the man wasn't the man's child. When the family wanted to relocate to America and they asked for DNA tests, and it was at the embassy official that told the man that, see, all these children are not yours. So we have many cases like that in Lagos. In fact, I think a condom maker, Durex, did a survey at a point and revealed that I think 7 in 10 women in Lagos cheat on their husbands or something. I can't remember the stats particularly. So it's a very cheating society. We cheat a lot. We do everything. But this case is quite painful in the fact that life has been lost, and it's tied to this case. And there's also a case of power play and corporate power play, because when you look at the power dynamics, obviously this was this lady's boss for an extended period of time, and that continued. So that is something they will look at very strongly and ethically. But let's not act funny. We all do it, and this is an introspection on society. A lot of people are there watching me today.
It just seems as if the statistics are stacked against
no, so
women
Cheriton,
in
let
this
me
regard.
finish my point, Cheriton, please. A lot of people are watching me today that they are sleeping with their wives' friends, and they know it. So it's a cheating society. And you see, when we now put the cloak of religiosity and act like we don't do these things and act holier than thou, I start to wonder, who are we deceiving? We are deceiving ourselves.
So the cheating is both ways, we are agreeing.
Yeah, both ways.
Both ways. Because women are cheating with men.
With men as well.
Men are cheating with women. Women are cheating with men. And let me show you, there's another shocking new trend, Adesua. A lot of men are cheating on their wives with other men. There's an increase in homosexuality. Yes, among married people.
Sorry, not to make light of this situation.
That's a very sensitive subject. Don't go there.
Yes,
but it's true. It's society.
Not to make light of what we've said so far. I hate to drag this back, but there was something Dr. Abati said earlier. I just wanted to confirm. Are you okay with office romance? Because you said the men can look at single girls.
Because the men are married women.
I wasn't making a case for office romance, but I'm saying that, look, if a man is in a power relationship with, a subordinate, then that raises questions about abuse of privilege and abuse of access, right? But, I mean, must you go after a married woman working under you?
Especially as a married man, maybe you should not go after anybody at all and just face your wife.
So as I was making the point before, the cheating is both ways. Men too are heavily cheating on women. Women too are heavily cheating on men. It's a society with a lot of people cheating. There is a lot of promiscuity. There is a lot of infidelity that goes on in this society. And I think most importantly, that's the topical issue we should have with ourselves in society. It is there. It is staring at us in the face. And you made a very salient point, Adesua. I wonder what will be the future of our children when all we can bequeath to them is high gross level of sexual immorality.
Infidelity is universal. It's not a Nigerian creation.
I'm wondering if this kind of cases would now increase, would force a lot of men to go check out their paternity, do paternity tests for their children.
Well, I don't want to believe, all kinds of reports about 7 out of 10 children not belonging. I mean, nobody has given a definitive. But all of this is about morality. It's also about trust. It's about loyalty to your partner. But the marriage institution is one of the most troubled institutions in the world. And just as human relationships are complex, marriages are even far more complex when two persons come together. Well, Shaitan, at this point, we'll have to thank you. I told you brought very interesting stories.